Yesterday on this program, we heard that netballers in Kyneton are using a mouldy sheep shed as a change room while they wait on new facilities. Well, Liberal member for Northern Victoria, Wendy Lovell, is weighing on the issue, and she joins you now. Wendy, do you think this is good enough?
Oh, absolutely, it's not good enough. The females deserve really good change rooms at their facilities, both the home and away teams. With mould on the walls, it's not, that's a health risk, and it needs to be addressed as soon as possible.
So what are you calling on the Victorian government to do?
Well, what I've asked the Victorian government to do is to provide some extra funding for a temporary change facility. We all know these things can be done, and we've seen it done at some of the football clubs after the floods. The Shepparton Swans in Shepparton is a great example of that, where their facilities were completely flooded out, but there's been temporary facilities put in there so they can play at their home ground, and they can keep going as a club. So some of those temporary facilities could be put in at Kyneton, so that in the meantime, while we wait for VCAT's decision, while we wait for construction of the facility, the girls have decent change rooms. Those facilities could then be used to help other clubs later on.
But do you think there's enough time to wait, Wendy? I mean, the season's about to start in a couple of weeks. And how quickly can these things turn around? Temporary facilities? Are we talking about pie in the sky here?
Well, no, temporary facilities can be put in at a drop of a hat. We all know that there's facilities available for festivals with toilets and showers that could be put in there today. Another room as an actual change facility could be put in beside them. It's, things can be done very quickly with portables and temporary facilities. Probably not going to be ready for their first game next week, but if the state government really wanted to help the netballers at the Football Netball Club, they could do it very quickly.
What kind of cost are we talking about, Wendy, for temporary facilities?
I don't have the costs off the top of my head, but as I said, it wouldn't be wasted costs anyway, because those facilities could then be used later on to help other clubs. But in the meantime, if we don't do something like a temporary facility, these females go on changing in conditions that are not conducive to a healthy environment.
Have you seen these facilities? Have you seen these facilities, Wendy?
I was told about this issue by a friend last Monday.
But you haven't been there and seen.
I have seen a video of the facilities. I have spoken with the club and been informed of the condition of the facilities. As I said, I only found out about them on Monday. I was already in Melbourne for Parliament, and it needed to be raised immediately because it's another month before Parliament sits. So I will go and see the facilities for myself next week. I've already spoken to the club about visiting next week to see the facilities. But in the meantime, it needed to be raised immediately, and the President had taken a very good video of the facilities. But, these girls are changing in a sheep shed. It's a partially dirt floor. There's no showers, no toilets. It's infested with rats, and there's mould on the walls. And that is not healthy. Now, I'm told that I spoke to council on Monday about it, or a councillor on Monday about it, who informed me that it was being held up waiting on a VCAT decision. Now, I'm told that since I spoke to that councillor have been out and painted over the mould. That's not going to fix the issue. Something more needs to be done to support the Kyneton Football Netball Club.
Right. Did this councillor tell you where things are at with VCAT?
Well, just that they're waiting on a VCAT decision because there were opposition, lodged to the facilities, and everyone has a right to oppose a development, I guess. But this is just means that in the meantime, the netballers wait even longer to have decent facilities. So temporary facilities is a solution. It's not the permanent solution. And the netballers deserve more. They deserve their permanent facilities. But in the meantime, they also deserve to have a healthy environment, and at the moment it's not.
Running water, a flushing toilet. So I mean, it seems like basic things, doesn't it?
But females right throughout regional Victoria has suffered with substandard facilities for a very, very long time. You know, I can remember in my days of playing netball, changing in public toilets and throwing our bags, you know, in the public area while we played netball because there were no netball facilities. And, you know, in recent years there's been more investment in female facilities, which is fantastic, but we need to make sure that all clubs have adequate facilities.
But what more do you think that the state government could be doing to provide change rooms for women and girls and just improve facilities and encourage more participation?
Well, there has been in recent years, and I will give them credit for this, quite a substantial grants for female facilities. But in the meantime, for clubs that have facilities like Murchison and Kyneton, in particular the netballers at Kyneton, we need to see them invest in something that can help them immediately rather than have to wait for a long-term redevelopment. I mean, even if VCAT were to rule in favour of this redevelopment tomorrow, those facilities are not going to be in place for this netball season. And realistically, it could be 2 or 3 seasons before we see them completed and ready for occupation. So there needs to be a temporary facility put in here at Kyneton to assist the netballers this season.
Thanks very much for your time, Wendy.
Thank you.
That's Wendy Lovell, Liberal member for Northern Victoria.